a character who hasn't been seen since their debut in a single episode of the show in 2014. But now he's returning. Something Ricky This Way Comes, the 9th episode of the first season of Rick and Morty Things, which is aptly named and operated by Mr. Needful. Like in the King's story, Rick detects Mr. Needful of being the devil in disguise right away, turning Lucius into an enemy. They soon become competitive rivals when Rick starts his own store across the street named Purge Plus, following realizing that Needful swears Needful decides to sell his goods online at n33dfull.com, which workout strength. Audiences believed they had seen the last of him after almost 10 years. However, by introducing Mr. Needful to the page, the Rick and Morty comics were able to prove those same doubtful fans wrong. The comics have been more explicit this time about Mr. Needful's demonic connotations, revealing his devilish form and reinstating him as a malevolent Mephisto-like character, even after the Undevil replaced him. One of Rick's most hilariously pointless inventions is revived in the post-credits scene of Rick and Morty Season 8, Episode 9, where an unstoppable force meets an immovable object for a fantastic gag. In Morty Daddy, the 9th episode of Rick and Morty's 8th season, Morty hesitantly re-establishes his relationship with his half-Kazorpian son, Morty, Jr., who is eager to see his mother. Rick and Summer are shown in the B-plot exploring a novel interdimensional eatery that anticipates your food preferences. The restaurant predicts what its patrons will order depending on their appetite by using precogs in the style of the Minority Report. Important supporting characters from the A-plot and the B-plot get together for a hilarious scene in the episode's post-credits tag. Precogs are used by a future police force in Minority Report to anticipate crimes before they occur. However, Rick and Morty find a far more commonplace application for the precogs' amazing powers. They are able to determine the exact food that a restaurant patron who is having trouble deciding what to order is craving. In order to use the precogs as his personal maids, Rick kidnaps them. The precogs wind up on Rick's trash moon at the end of the episode, where Morty brought his son to visit the abandoned sex robot who gave birth to him. The precogs reopen their restaurant on this moon, serving every idea Rick threw away. They finally square off in the post-credit sequence. Earlier in the show, we were introduced to Rick's Devil's Advocate bot, whose major purpose is to question everything he's taught and give a counterargument. They thus find themselves in a vicious cycle of argument when he objects to the food the precogs tell him he wants to order. The combination of these two jokes is ideal. Throughout Rick and Morty's tenure, Rick has created a number of amusing devices, although they typically have a function. Even though the butter robot was designed only to move butter around the dining table, it's nevertheless helpful for those who desire the butter but are unable to reach it. However, the Devil's Advocate bot is merely unpleasant and has no use. It simply takes a contrarian stand on everything that is brought to its attention, including its own food order. It's hilarious that he ever made it in the first place, but it's no surprise that it wound up on Rick's trash moon in the most recent Rick and Morty episode. Thanks for watching. For more updates stay tuned and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel please.